Hello once again everyone, Original Blood Ace back again with another video, and this time it is time for my review of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Wii U, of course. Now, I finally finished uploading the last episode on OBAGames, so that means it is time for a review. I'm not going to keep it too long, and I'm not going to consider this game, I'm not going to treat it as a in the sense of, oh, Nintendo exclusive, it's a Nintendo IP. I'm strictly going to be critiquing it on it being a Retro Studios game. Now, let's start off, shall we, with the art design. Very solid, very good art design, don't have any problems with it. I mean, it's nothing that pushes the boundaries of the Wii U system, which is a little disheartening, I guess, knowing Retro Studios, but hopefully with Metroid or whatever their next project is, that will be more of an issue. But I mean, and then people bring up the fur of Donkey Kong. Oh, you can see the fur blowing in the breeze. Yeah, it's nice, I guess, but it doesn't affect gameplay. It does not do anything for the gamer. So that's kind of a meh for me. No big deal. But every level in the game, there's a few where you're kind of like, oh, this isn't as good as the last one, and then there's some that really pop and stand out, and you're like, damn, this is a really pretty level. But for the most part, the level designs, the art style, it's very solid, very solid. A straight 8.5 out of 10, I'd say. What's next? Difficulty in the game is, now if you are a player of Mario, like all Mario games, and you're, say, a casual or a kid, then stick with Mario. Because in Donkey Kong, Retro Studios does not hold your hand. They will not give you will not be having 99 lives by the end of this game, that's for sure. Now, that's not to say that you won't still have lives by the time you beat the game. I mean, if you are relatively skilled, you should be able to beat the game without a game over. But you will have to buy lives from Funky Kong at some point. I consider myself a pretty skilled platformer. I'm like not MLG good, but I'm pretty good at it. And I didn't get any game overs, but I definitely lost a hell of a lot of lives, a hell of a lot more than I ever did in Mario 3D World. So the difficulty definitely progresses. There's only 6 real full worlds, and then there's the 7th world you unlock at the end. Spoiler if you hadn't gotten the game or played it yourself, sorry. But each world you'll notice, and it takes it up a step in the difficulty. For example, first 2 worlds really aren't too bad. There might be one level where you kind of have like one little spot in it where you kind of get snagged and stuck for a few minutes. But by the 3rd world, you'll notice you'll be like, okay, I'm starting to see a little bit of an increase here. And then by world 4, actually by world 5 and 6, the last 2 worlds, you're going to have a lot of issues. Probably on about 75% of the levels, you're going to, especially if you're going for puzzle pieces and Kong letters and everything at 100%, you're going to run into issues. You'll have to do some of the levels over and over again to try and find missing puzzle pieces, unless you actually are taking your sweet ass time and nitpicking at every little thing in a level. But the point is, difficulty is there, and it's definitely not a game for the casuals, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. Now, I do remember in one of my videos I got so mad that I had said the difficulty is going to be a reason why I dock points. That was just me being mad, whatever. But what else? What's the next part? There is local multiplayer, but I'm not going to touch that because I didn't use that. I don't think most people did. Again, a 2-player co-op would have been kind of nice for online, but not necessary. What else? The soundtrack. Best part of the game, hands down. David Wise, I believe that's his name. Phenomenal music. He did the original Donkey Kong music on the Super Nintendo, and he still has the magic today. Yeah, soundtrack, I hope it comes out on like Club Nintendo or something, because that would just be kind of kick-ass to download, or not download, but to buy with platinum rewards or whatever. So definitely, if you are a fan of video game music, check it out. You will not be disappointed. Let's move on to the more negative side of things. There's not too much. The main thing I have an issue with, besides the fact that I said before about, oh, why the fuck did Retro Studios do a Donkey Kong game again? The main issue is they didn't use the gamepad for anything. You can play off TV Play, which I didn't really do since I was recording, but I mean, they couldn't even have just it displaying how many lives you have and how many of the Kong letters and the puzzle pieces and everything. I mean, that would have been so basic that they could have done. Instead, it's just black, just blank. So that was a bit disappointing from Retro Studios there. What else? Did the difficulty? Did the art style? Did the what do you call it? Soundtrack? I can't think what the controls. That's another topic. Yes, yes, yes. The controls are fairly impressive. Not perfect, but fairly impressive. There's two little issues that people have with Donkey Kong. The main one a lot of people have is the button layout choices sometimes, where if you want to do a ground pound, but if you just slightly move, then you end up rolling, and you might end up rolling off the level, killing yourself a few times throughout the game. That's just kind of a little frustrating thing. I mean, that happened to me. I think I pretty much laughed it off, but it is an issue, but it's not a game-breaking huge issue. And then the other thing with the controls that a lot of people seem to agree upon is maybe it's just underwater levels in general in platformers, but a lot of people are not big fans of underwater levels. To me, the best way to describe it with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is it really feels like you're trying to control like a 300-pound or 500-pound ape or whatever. Like, the controls are, it's different physics than when you're just walking on land and everything. You actually kind of feel like you're controlling a gorilla. So it makes it tougher to adjust to that. Yeah. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention on the negative side, even though it's not a big issue, they call the game Tropical Freeze, yet throughout the whole game, and this I guess you could consider it a spoiler, is the only island out of all 6 islands, or 7 technically, that is frozen is Donkey Kong Island. The other 6 islands, including the 7th one, is not. Well, except the 6th world, or the 5th world, at the very end, the boss is kind of a frozen area, the polar bear boss. But why call it Tropical Freeze if it's just the Vikings are going to freeze the one island, 1/6 of the game? That just seems kind of lame. Now, I'm not saying they should have had, every level in the game should have been ice or whatever and frozen, because then that would have been really boring and generic with the art design. But maybe a slightly better name, like, I don't know, something to do with Vikings in it or something, like, I don't know. But either way, like Glacial Takeover or something, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I think I covered pretty much all I need to say in my review. Overall, definitely it is a must-have Wii U game. No, not because, oh, there's a lack of games, blah, 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 but because if you own a Wii U, regardless of how you feel about Nintendo, if you want a fun game to play on the Wii U, then Donkey Kong is indeed going to do that for you. Unless you're a casual, in which case you are not going to have that fun of a time once you get to World 3 and further. But if you're, an average gamer to a core gamer, then it's definitely a game you should pick up if you have a Wii U. So overall, I think I'm going to give the game an 8.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, and I'm still not happy that they did another Donkey Kong, Retro that is. But as I've said before, Retro is incapable of making a bad game. I don't really know what they could have drastically changed in the game or improved upon, but it was definitely a very good, solid platformer and a Wii U game. So yeah, I guess that's going to do it. Stay tuned. I'm Original Blood Ice. More videos coming soon, as always.
I'm the cult of personality, the cult of personality, the cult of personality.